Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. It is a gorgeous March morning here in my Missouri Zone 6 garden, and today I have a super simple project to tackle that I wanted to bring you along on. Today I want to show you how I'm going to take one plant and turn that one plant into 10 more plants. I started propagating plants about 3 or 4 years ago and discovered how easy it is, especially with certain types of plants. So I'm going to turn the camera around. We're going to go do this project inside the greenhouse on this gorgeous sunny March morning. But before we head in the greenhouse, I'm going to ask you all, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to grow my channel and grow my reach to other gardeners just like you. While it's still pretty early morning here, it's only about 45 degrees outside, but inside my greenhouse, it is a beautiful 65, 67 degrees, a perfect place to work. And so you see right here, the only supplies we're going to need for this wonderful job is a watering can with water, some snips, and some glass jars. Of course, in addition to the things I just showed you in terms of what we're going to need for the job, we need the plants. And so today I'm going to propagate my beautiful coleus plants. These are plants back here that I overwintered inside my greenhouse since last summer. I grew these out in the landscape, and in probably mid-September, I think it was, I lifted them out of the soil, I brought them in here, and I planted them into one of these raised beds with the sole purpose of overwintering them, keeping them alive so that this time of year I could take cuttings off of them, stick them in some water so they would start roots, and that way I'm going to take this plant and multiply it and have loads of plants to grow on early spring, so that come early May, which is in about, let me think here, about 5 weeks from now, I'll be able to take those cuttings that I've propagated that have a nice root system and plant them out in the landscape. Those of you that have been with my channel know that I have inside my heated greenhouse, I have two raised beds. They're identical. One on this end that I typically grow herbs in year round, and then one on this end changes every single year. This year I used it as a holdover for my coleus and some of my nasturtiums. All of these beautiful plants came out of my garden last summer and were popped in here. My nasturtiums are just looking beautiful. But we're not propagating nasturtiums today. We're going to propagate these beautiful, beautiful coleus plants. So let me show you how simple it is. So I'm going to try to film this holding my camera in one hand and using my snips in another. So just bear with me on that. But here's what we're going to do. So if we take a look at this beautiful coleus plant, you're going to see many, many stems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Loads of stems. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go down and I am going to take my snips right here. Let's get in to this one. Let me actually put my snips down for a minute. Okay. So here's one stem. I'm going to come down, 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 and I'm going to cut it off right above these two little leaves, which are going to grow new stems. So I'm not sacrificing the whole plant. I am just going to take the top cutting, and then I'll show you what we need to do next. So here's my little pruners. I'm going to come in right here. Let me get really close and snip. I'm going to continue to do that to all of these and a bunch of those, and then we'll come over here to the work table and I will show you what the next step is. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee before I get started, and I think my goal is I'm going to take about a dozen cuttings off of both of these two plants, and then I'll come in with a close-up and show you the next step. Okay. So here's the first cutting. So I just need to go down, cut above 2 leaves, and that will, whoops, that will have this plant branching out and creating more leaves. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, this is a big one. This is also actually a great way to make your plants bush out. I mean, it's pruning, but why not prune these coleus and make a bunch of new plants out of them? Okay, let me go over here. Let me take some cuttings off of this other plant here. We've got a big long stem over here. We'll shorten that up. Here's another big long one. Okay. Here's one growing into the back of the greenhouse. That looked like maybe a good one. Here's one that could use a trim. I don't know. I didn't count. Did you guys count for me? Because I don't really know how many I just trimmed. But I don't know. I'm going to count them up. I'm shooting for a dozen cuttings. So let me see how many I've got here. So let me count these and see how many I ended up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I really wasn't paying that close of attention, so I don't know how that worked out. But I was shooting for 12 cuttings, and I've got it. Next step, let's go ahead and fill my glass jars with water. You don't have to use glass jars. However, I like to use glass jars for this because then I can look inside and see the root development. So I've just got some fresh water. You don't want any fertilizer, just plain old water. I'm going to fill these jars up about half full. And then we'll go ahead and strip the leaves. I'll show you how to do that. Strip the leaves off of the coleus cuttings and pop them in these glass jars. Okay, we're almost there. I save glass jars, you know, reuse, recycle. That's how I like to roll. And I have a lot of these jars. These are actually olive jars. My favorite, Castelvetrano. Have you ever eaten those beautiful green olives from Italy? They are my favorite olives, and I go through a lot of them. So I have loads of these saved up, and then I've got, you know, little ball jars here or mason jars or whatever you have. It doesn't matter. So, all right, that step's done. Now we have to strip the leaves. Okay, now that I've got my water in my glass jars, I need to strip some of the leaves off of these cuttings. Very important, because when you're trying to propagate, you don't want all the energy to go to the plant trying to keep all those leaves alive. We don't care about these lower leaves anymore. And so I would say the general recommendation when you propagate coleus is to leave 2 or 3 sets of true leaves there at the top. And this is 3, but I think I'm going to actually go a little bit further and snip off. So now I'm down to 2 sets of leaves. Can you see that? I hope so. Put my hand up or put it in front of my shirt. You see that? That's all you need. And the coleus leaves are so tender that you can just strip them with your hand. You don't even need to use pruners. I'm just going to take one of those and pop it in a jar and get after the rest. So again, look at all these leaves. We don't want to support all this foliage. So I'm going to just strip it off, and I'm taking the leaves. We compost here on my in my garden, and so I save the leaves, and they're going to go out into the compost bin. I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and again, this one I left with 2 sets of leaves, and actually, if you look really close, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, there are 2 little tiny baby leaves, another set right in the middle. Okay. Those of you that have been following Garden Time with Belle also know that I love to propagate geraniums. You can just look around in my greenhouse and see that almost all the geraniums you see in my greenhouse, I grew from cuttings. I originally started them from seed, and then I took the mother plants and I did propagation of those. They are also extremely easy to grow. So I really want to encourage you all to try this. Even if you go to the big box stores or you go to your local nursery and you purchase some beautiful coleus for your summer garden this year, you know what? Prune it about a month into wherever it's settled in. Take a few cuttings and see if you can create some more plants for yourself. It really is so simple. All right, so I want to take those really big leaves off again. And that's all there is to it. So I'll probably speed up the video for this part, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the next and final things to consider when taking one of your beautiful plants and turning it into many plants. So you just got to see me have a runaway cutting, and I found it in all the other leaves that I had stripped off, but I didn't know it was there. So I cut one more from the back plant there. And so now I have lucky number 13, 13 absolutely beautiful coleus cuttings. So they're going to sit in these jars in the water for a couple of weeks. That's been my experience. In a warm greenhouse with lots of sunshine, they will put on roots pretty quickly. So I would say in a couple of weeks, they'll be ready to be potted up into some high quality potting soil. That's really going to be the next step. Then they'll stay in my pots with some beautiful soil, and I'll fertilize them once a week like I do all my other things that I'm growing in the greenhouse that I'm going to be using in my summer garden. Let's see, what else did I want to share with you about the process? Some people can actually take cuttings just like we did today and just go ahead and put them right in the soil. But I want some extra insurance. And so I get the extra insurance of knowing they've really put on healthy roots by putting them in water in glass jars, so I can really monitor the root development. So I know they're viable and they'll grow on. I know that lots of gardeners like you and I hate single-use plastic. And so because I garden so much and sometimes I purchase plants, I keep all of these original containers. You know, they're kind of flimsy. They're not the greatest, but for projects like these, oh my gosh, reuse, reuse, reuse whenever you can plastic. So wanted to share that with you. What else might you want to know? I think really that's about it. So really quickly to summarize the process, you get some jars, you get some water, you cut stems off of your plant, you strip the lower leaves, pop them in a glass of water, wait a couple weeks for the roots to develop, pot them into some nice soil, let them grow on for another month or so, and then they will have hopefully developed a really strong, beautiful root system where then you can take your cuttings that you've grown on and either give them away as gifts, which some of mine will be, and or get them out into your landscape or into some of your beautiful pots for the summer. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I sure have enjoyed you being with me as I got to share with you how you can take one plant and turn it into many, many plants. So until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.